Hey everyone, my name is Jason Filer, and I'm going to be talking to you today about this tag of this arrangement, Then I'll Be Tired of You, arranged by Justin Miller, and this version was performed by Secret Best Friends at the 2024 Barbershop Harmony Society International Convention in Cleveland this past year. So, if you'd like to hear a video of them performing this, it's going to be linked in the description, but I'll just be talking about this very end section over here. So we start with this classic C dominant 7th chord, and then we go into very quickly we have a also classic Secret Best Friends 13th chord. It's not their chord, but they like their 13th chords, and I also interviewed this quartet very recently. The interview is out. It's also linked in the description, and they talked about how for this arrangement specifically, Justin Miller, who arranged this and also was the director of the Westminster Chorus for many years, what they said was that he instinctively sort of knew their sound and what they liked, and things that they could really latch onto. So he wrote lots of chords like this, 13th chords, 6th chords, things like that, which they very much felt comfortable doing and which they enjoyed that he wrote for them. So we have here this 13th chord. It's an interesting movement. It doesn't happen very often in barbershop where we have this. I mean, the 13th chord isn't very common anyway, but then going from this 13th to this strange, it's still C dominant 7 voicing. The C goes up to a G, the A goes up to a C. So if this was a G up here, it'd make a little more sense because, then you can have the E and the B flat stay the same, and the C and the G swap where the bass goes up, the tenor goes up, but to the different version. So that's basically what this is doing, except it's going from A to C instead of G to C. So then we go from here. Still kind of in this C dominant territory the whole time. We have this E and B flat are in all these chords. It's the same E and B flat in the lead and baritone, and then here it's the lead and the bass. Baritone goes higher up to, it's kind of a rootless C dominant 9 chord. You could call it G minor 6. You could call it E half diminished 7. But it's helpful to think of it as a rootless C9 chord. And then here we have another C13 chord. This is probably one of my favorite voicings of a 13th chord. It has a 7th in the bass, then the root, then the 3rd, and then the 13th. It's very nice. And then we have a good little arranging trick. I'm not sure if it's written in the original, but the tenor does breathe here. Kevin breathes and then waits and then comes in on the F for the post till the end of the song. Very nice. It gives him some good time to breathe there. So we have here this 13th chord goes to an F chord. I'm going to call it F6. You could call it D minor 7, but I think I would suggest F6 just because, we are going from a 5 to 1 situation, C dominant to F. It's just an inversion and has a D in it. Then we have here very classic barbershop movement of 2 voices staying the same, 2 voices moving. In this case, they just go down by half steps. So we have D and F is the constant, and then we have A and C, which makes up this F6 chord. Then when they move down to A flat and C flat, we have an A flat diminished 7th chord, or C flat diminished 7, or D diminished 7, or F diminished 7. They're all the same diminished 7th chord. It's just a bunch of minor thirds. And then they move down another half step to a G minor 7 chord, which is great. Nothing wrong there. And then here, this is a crazy one. This is a pretty wild chord here, if I do say so myself. It's pretty much just a F13 with a 7 in the bass. It's pretty similar to this one over here. If the C was above at the top, it'd be the same voicing, just in a different chord. But it's a really cool sound, with the major 7 being inside the E flat to the D. So again here, the D and the F stay the same, but instead of going down a half step, we now have the bass jumping down more than a half step to an E flat. So F13, F dominant 13, no 5, no 9, just flat 7, 3, 13, 1. Pretty awesome. And then the 13 moves down to the 5, so now we just have an F7 over the E flat. And now up here, we have this regular icicle 7th, formerly Chinese 7th, but icicle is the term we use now for that. And basically, it's just saying that there is a whole step in the top of the dominant seventh chord, so it's spelled 5, 3, flat 7, 1. And then we have that movement again. This is, kind of carrying through, but I believe that James takes a little bit of a breath there. And then we have the same thing where the bass and baritone will move down in half steps to this final chord here that they'll end up at. Well, I mean, not final, but final for this small little phrase. So E flat and F stay the same, or kind of breathe, and then we go to C flat, A flat for this, again, multiple names for it. Could be A flat minor 6, could be F half diminished 7, but either way, it does lead down to this G minor 7 here, which, kind of similar to what happens over here. If this was an E flat instead of an E flat instead of a D, then this would go also to this G minor 7. So same sort of movement on the never tire. And then this G minor 7 comes to G half diminished 7 when the D moves to a D flat. I'm calling these the full chords as if this bottom part carried through, as if this carried through, because that's sort of what you're hearing, even though they might be taking a breath during the second note, but it still feels like it's kind of a G half diminished language when it gets to this point. And then over here, we end up at this. I love this chord. It's the F add 9 chord, because we have F here in the top, still being held out, then a 5, the bass is a 3, and then the 2, or the 9, is in the baritone, moving down, resolving to the 1. So a little suspension action of the 2, where the 2 moves down, or you can call it a 9/8 suspension in classical theory. I like to think that as the 2 going down to the 1 because it's toward the middle of the voicing, but it's a very awesome sound. And then down here to this A flat 6 chord, where we have this nice 5th in the bass clef voices, which will continue for the rest of the song. But this one also is very, very classic, and instead of it just being 2 voices moving and 2 staying the same, one stays the same, all the other ones move the same way. So we just have these major triads of A flat major, G flat major, F major, with the F on the top. So, with the F on the top here, it becomes the 6 of this A flat chord, it becomes the dominant 7 of this G chord, it's the major 7 of this G flat chord, and then finally it's the 1 of this F chord. Great, great classic barbershop movement there. Very, very common. You could go one earlier and have it be, A, E, C sharp, F, but that is not common, and you wouldn't really see it in contestable barbershop arrangements. I mean, you can go even further. You can go as far as you want with that, but in terms of, classic and more contestable barbershop, we have here, starting at the flat 3 is a very safe place to start for this, and it lands in a really cool place after all this crazy movement here. Landing on the flat 3 sounds great, and then we can just walk all the way down to the final 1 on tire review. Great movement, great arrangement. I hope you enjoyed just sort of hearing a little bit about what's going on here, learning about what kind of things you can do when you might be arranging barbershop, or just trying to figure out what makes this sound so cool, makes it sound so good. So hope you enjoyed that. If you want to hear my interview with Secret Best Friends, that's on my YouTube channel. That's in the description. And if you want to hear them perform this arrangement, or tons of other songs, I have those all linked in the description as well. And that's it. I hope you have an incredible day, whoever you are, and I'll see you next time.